I'll never forget the day a woman screamed at my wife right in our own driveway, "You owe this community $2,500 if you don't pay, you're going to jail." And as if that wasn't enough, she actually called the sheriff demanding an arrest, without realizing my wife was the very judge who had sworn him into office. That's when I knew this story wasn't just insane, it was about to blow up bigger than anything our neighborhood had ever seen. Act 1. The conflict begins. My name's Tyler Brooks. I'm a sales manager, just a regular guy trying to enjoy a quiet life. 8 months ago, my wife Emma and I moved into this picture-perfect neighborhood. Meadowbrook Heights. You know the type. Every lawn trimmed like a golf course, every mailbox identical, every house practically begging to be on a magazine cover. It looked like the American dream. What we didn't know is that it came with its own nightmare. Her name was Karen Walsh. She'd been HOA president for about 3 years ever since she got canned from the IRS. And let me just say this, if you're too nasty for the IRS, you've got some serious issues. From day one, Karen was on a mission to control every inch of Meadowbrook Heights. Clipboard in hand, permanent scowl plastered on her face, she treated this neighborhood like her personal kingdom. Emma, though she's not just my wife, she's a state court judge. But here in the neighborhood, she just went by Emma Brooks. Most folks thought she was the quiet wife of a salesman. Nobody knew her real job, and she liked it that way. At first, it was little things. Emma planted daisies instead of the approved roses. Boom, $75 fine. Our mailbox, 2 inches taller than regulation. $150. Emma just paid them calm as ever. I was fuming, ready to argue, but she'd just smile at me and say, "Trust me, honey, I know what I'm doing." Karen mistook that patience for weakness. And that mistake cost her everything. The bomb dropped on a Tuesday morning. Karen strutted across the street like she'd just won the lottery, slapped a notice in my wife's hand, and announced we owed $2,500 for parking Emma's Tesla 6 inches over the line of our own driveway. Not blocking anyone, not hurting anyone. 6 inches. Emma looked at that paper, folded it neatly, and said, "It's time Karen learned what real authority looks like." I swear the way she said it sent a chill down my spine. Act 2. Escalation and turning point. If I thought it would end there, I was dead wrong. Karen wasn't satisfied with the fine. No, she needed humiliation. She demanded Emma handwrite apology letters to every single household, 137 of them, with a provided template, of course. Then she wanted Emma to go door to door to 5 particularly offended neighbors and apologize in person, cookies in hand, like some criminal paying off a debt. I watched my wife actually do it. Handwriting letters, visiting homes, smiling politely while Karen stood across the street smirking. And the craziest part, neighbors started realizing how ridiculous Karen was. They loved Emma for it. But it kept getting worse. Karen staged a community service orientation where Emma, an actual judge, sat through a 2-hour lecture about mailbox colors and grass height regulations. She added a $1,000 processing fee on top of the fines. And when Emma politely asked for documentation, Karen wrote it all out by hand, basically signing her own confession. By then, I was at my breaking point. One night, I slammed my fist on the kitchen table and said, "Emma, this isn't worth it. We should just sell the house, move somewhere sane, and be done with her." That was my lowest moment. I felt powerless, humiliated in front of my neighbors, and honestly, I doubted my wife's calm strategy. Was she letting Karen walk all over us? Were we the fools here? But Emma just looked at me steady as ever and said, "Tyler, she's not just harassing us. She's harassing everyone, and I'm not building a case for us. I'm building it for this entire community. She's digging her own grave, one demand at a time." And that's when it clicked. Emma wasn't surrendering. She was documenting. She was playing chess while Karen was playing checkers. The breaking point came when Karen organized an emergency HOA meeting. 60 neighbors crammed into the community center. Karen had a podium, a projector, even a full presentation like she was prosecuting a federal case. For 45 minutes, she ranted about the case against Emma Brooks with charts, timelines, even witness statements. When she finally demanded a public apology, $3 $500 in fines, and 6 months of probation, the room went dead silent. Everyone turned to Emma, and Emma. She stood up, thanked Karen for her meticulous documentation, then calmly asked for one thing in return. Please provide the legal basis for this enforcement authority in writing. Karen, blinded by arrogance, grabbed a pen and wrote right there in front of 60 witnesses that HOA fines were the equivalent of criminal infractions enforceable by arrest. She even had neighbors sign as witnesses. Emma folded that paper like it was a winning lottery ticket, slid it into her purse, and sat back down. I didn't understand it then, but Emma had just sprung the trap. Act 3. The Showdown. Sunday afternoon, our doorbell rang. Sheriff Jake Miller stood outside, hat in hand. My stomach dropped. Karen had called him, waving her giant folder of evidence demanding Emma's arrest for theft of community services. Karen was practically bouncing with excitement. Sheriff, she refuses to pay. This woman is in contempt of legal authority. Emma. Calm as ever, said Sheriff, I am more than willing to pay any legitimate fine. The question is whether these are legitimate. Jake started asking questions. Due process notice, legal framework. Emma answered every one like she'd done it 100 times before. Karen kept interrupting, shouting for an arrest. And then she made her biggest mistake. She threatened the sheriff. If you don't arrest her, I'll have your badge. That's when Jake stopped, studied Emma's face, and said slowly, Ma'am, did you happen to administer any swearing-in ceremonies about 18 months ago? Emma nodded. I did. Jake straightened up like a soldier. His voice changed. Judge Collins, I didn't recognize you without your robes. You swore me into office. I swear the silence that followed was like a bomb going off. Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. 60 neighbors stood frozen. And me, I just felt my heart slam against my ribs. Emma reached calmly into her purse, pulled out that folder, and handed it to Jake. Inside, Karen's threats, fake fees, handwritten claims of criminal authority. Jake flipped through it, his face darkening. Finally, he turned to Karen. Ms. Walsh, did you personally write this? He asked, holding up her so-called declaration of legal power. Karen stammered, I was enforcing community standards. Emma's voice cut through, steady and sharp. Ladies and gentlemen, what you've witnessed is systematic harassment, false claims of authority, and an attempt to intimidate a judicial officer, a felony in this state. Neighbors erupted. One elderly man shouted, She fined us $800 for Christmas lights. A young couple added, She threatened to evict us over a garden gnome. Story after story poured out. Karen broke. She sobbed, admitted she lost her career at the IRS, that the HOA was her last shred of control. She begged Emma not to press charges. Emma's face was calm, but her voice was steel. Ms. Walsh, you will resign from the HOA immediately. You will return every dollar of illegal fines. You will write apologies to every family you harmed. And if you ever abuse authority again, I won't hesitate to press full criminal charges. Karen collapsed into a chair, shaking defeated. The self-appointed queen of Meadowbrook Heights, dethroned in front of her entire kingdom. Closing line. Karen thought she was teaching us about authority, but in the end, she learned what real authority looks like.